So there were some verbal scuffles at the moment, and it basically was put on hold. They joined the march that shut down the Oakland port.
Mm-hmm.
You know, participated in the rest of the day's actions, and then when it seemed like, yeah, it was a day of victory. We, the people on the streets, had shut down the port, had made our point, had shut down banks, had hung banners, had met with each other, communicated, all of that. There was an air of celebration in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and there was music and dancing in the streets,
Wow.
and people went home.
Yeah.
Job well done. And as soon as the numbers dropped below a certain point, sometime between 11 and 12 in the evening, some folks seized that opportunity to make their own statement, make their own point, which involved, I would say, vandalism. Violence isn't exactly the right word, but involved vandalism, involved a bonfire in the middle of the street, involved the occupation of an abandoned building, and that was just the excuse needed to have riot police move in. There was more tear gas, there were more rubber bullets, actually quite a few people got arrested, and several got sent to the hospital. One person in particular, this is another Marine, just like we saw a few weeks ago, another Marine got seriously injured, got arrested, and then didn't get to go to the hospital for about a day. And he has very, very serious injuries, internal bleeding. And so, in my opinion, all of this could have been prevented. The police presence on the street was not only minimal, it was absent all day long. And we had the opportunity to write our own history, to show what our world would look like if, artists and teachers and union organizers and, mothers and fathers and grandparents and kids were able to live in the streets and, not have a home, but to define their world in real time. And it was incredibly inspiring for 99% of the day. And then it took a turn, actually right then, that moved the conversation back into us and them, violence versus nonviolence. It's created rifts between the activists themselves around tactics. It brings up more anger against, well, the police didn't have to be so brutal. And then it brings up the issue of, well, you knew that that violence had recently occurred, and in a sense invited a confrontation because of the deep feelings of anger and frustration around that previous violence, and that brought more violence. And if it happens again, it'll bring more violence. And it's this terrible cycle that, is putting people in the hospital, is putting people in jail, and it's not addressing the core issue. And as a side note, I think the Oakland Police Officers Association issued an open letter the day before the protest, which was in direct contrast to, or it was vocally opposed to Jean Kwan's handling of the situation. It was opening a rift and was a very politically savvy move on their part to set up for the next day, to say, okay, if we're not there, if we're not policing the streets, what's it going to look like? And tragically, the people who were most opposed to police violence and police presence brought the police in and so effectively proved the police perspective that they're necessary. Wow. It made it appear that we the people need absolute authority over us at all times in order to stay in line.
Right.
And that's embarrassing.
Right. Right. Nikolas, time flies, but we just have one more minute here.
Wow.
And so I'm just wondering if you could tell our listeners, if they wanted to get involved as a performing artist, what the best way to be would be.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of resources out there for performing artists right now who want to join with the movement or speak up in some way. Around political action days, the performing artists of the 99% are, we're going to be there as a resource. So if you look us up on Facebook at facebook.com/artists-of-the-99. You can find more information about specific days of action, in particular in Oakland, as well as San Francisco. We are open to expanding as well. If you're a South Bay artist who wants to get involved, absolutely get in touch. If you want to be doing politically motivated art about this movement, do it. You don't need the support or approval of anyone. This is your movement as well as everyone else's. If you want support in doing that, if you want to network, get in touch with us as well, and we would love to help out. Give our support in any way. Also, there's a company called Occupy Theater, or not a company, but an action. You can also get in touch with them. They're doing really great work, and they're affiliated with the Triangle Lab. And essentially, if you're an artist who wants to get involved, get involved.
Okay.
This is your time as well, and the more art, the better.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nikolas. Really, such an inspiration. If you are listening and want to find out more about Nikolas's work, and I imagine getting in touch with him, you can do that through his website at nikolasstrube.com, which again is NIKOLASSTRUBBE.com. And thank you so much for tuning in to Whole Body Talk. I hope that you are inspired to go take action whatever way feels right. Whole Body Talk airs live every Tuesday from 12 to 12:45 on FCC Free Radio, and then you can find us on iTunes by searching for Whole Body, one word, Whole Body Talk. I'm Paulina Smith. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Nikolas, for joining us, and I hope you have a great week.